Myself, I'm not really interested in drama or into going into extreme opinions that a lot of people might have. That's not the person. That's not the reason or my purpose. I'm trying to understand history, what happened. So if you yourself you have first-hand encounters, feel free to reach out to me. We can have a chat. Perhaps you can share your knowledge, expertise, perhaps your from your own encounters. That's what I'm interested in. Perhaps worth mentioning before covering the last video as well as this particular video that we were. I'm interested to take a look at war economy and what that is. Starting wars should not be a part of any ethical or responsible economic strategy. Wars are typically associated with significant human suffering, loss of life, destruction, to say the least, in infrastructure and long-term economic costs involved in starting wars, while certain industries such as defense and arms manufacturing may benefit from war in terms of increased demand of their products and services that they do offer. The overall impact on economy is often negative. Wars diverts resources away from productive uses such as infrastructure development, education, healthcare, and research and development. It can also lead to massive public debt as government often need to borrow heavily to influence war efforts. Additionally, the social and human costs of war, including physical and psychological trauma experienced by soldiers and civilians, can have long-lasting negative effects on society's well-being. Responsible economic strategies should prioritize peace, diplomacy, and conflict resolutions as a way to promote stability and prosperity. Cooperation between nations, trade, and investment in areas like education and healthcare tend to yield more positive outcomes than engaging in armed conflicts. There's an interesting video that I'll share in the description for those who would like to understand a little bit better about some of the research work I'm currently where I am and what I'm trying to understand about how other nations do think and operate, and if all the currently all the players in the market are bankers, and they that's what I'm trying to understand economy, right? We're coming back to overall gold. A lot of nations going away from gold has been back to monetary policy, and if gold is not longer monetary policy like it used to be, and perhaps there's a reason why gold is not longer needed to cover all the notes that we have. If not, the banks now controlling everything, and if the banks do control everything, so perhaps those banking organizations are starting wars for whatever reason. Perhaps that's something that I'm trying to understand. Well, there's some more information. There's a 45-minute video. For those of you who are interested to understand more, you can find it there. If anything, I'm trying to understand a little bit better. Currently, how some of those private banks are managing monetary policies of the nations. So private banks, I'm just trying to wrap my head around this concept, right? So if a private bank can dictate and lend money, right, to governments, so so I'm trying to understand this concept, right? How that even makes sense, right? What are you doing? If not that, how with interest. So if a private person lends money to government with interest, so all the people under that government works to pay out the interest of the money lended, and okay, on what kind of scale are we talking about, and how, if anything, how that interest and terms to be reinforced. So private company can reinforce those terms with military. So that's where the wars can be potentially started. Those nodes that don't really make sense unless you back those nodes to something, and backing up to something, not necessarily gold, since that standard was removed due to changes, how much money was in circulation, and call out for some of the debt to that money, and was that was at that point was gold removed, right? From that point, just myself, perhaps someone could explain it to me better, right? So I understand these principles. So if a private company later can call out all the numbers or all the dollars or whatever what was printed at the time, private company said instead that is being a paper can later back up all the paper to oil, and if someone would refuse, call in the military. So would that be worthy of starting a war? So that's something that I'm personally trying to understand. In this video, recently I have watched, they're discussing that in more detail. It's more of date stamps and some of the encounters of people who actually been there, seen it, done it from the higher ranks. Perhaps that gives some credibility to some of the things that I'm saying. But other than that, it's something that I'm trying to understand, make sense of that. I wasn't there at the time to take part in this kind of negotiations to do business like that. I'm trying to understand history and how things were done back in the day, and I'm trying to understand how things are being done to this day, right? Perhaps some of those principles might change, some of the systems might change. As those systems might change, some of the people might tend to hold on to the control that they have, and what kind of extreme levels those people who try to hold on to some of the control that was old system, they would try to hold on to some of control. To what extent they will try at the very least will try to take it, right? So if it was gold, so we went from gold more to into oil, and from oil as a part of energy to be used as a source of fuel and perhaps to power machines, houses, energy plants, right? So from there, from gold to oil, and from oil we're going partly slowly transforming all the industries and everything to more to electricity as energy source, right? But what about those bankers, right? So if we're gonna give, if they're gonna hold on to some of that control, or they're gonna just let it go, some of the control, and what extremes they're gonna go to hold on to that control? They're gonna call on the like military all the time. That will happen. So I'm just interested to find out more about it. Overall, that's not necessarily limited to just banking systems or monetary policies, but wars can have a variety of complex causes, perhaps worth mentioning, including political, ideological, theoretical, and ethical factors, as well as economic interests, including those banks and corporations can certainly be contributed factors in some conflicts. For example, as a desire to control valuable resources like oil or minerals can lead to conflicts. So one nation would prefer to control some of those minerals, and some nations might say no, and that might be a case to start a war, but not necessarily just banking, right, or administrating of those minerals. Uh, so yeah, that's a different way to think about it. It's important to recognize that many conflicts are rooted in a deeper historical, cultural, and political issues. If anything, it's more this video and some of these videos that I'm making. It's for more entertainment and educational purposes. I'm trying to understand history. I don't know, perhaps it's some of the sensitive topics. Like I mentioned to you before, it's not a drama. It's not something that I'm interested in. I'm trying to understand current situation and what's happening in the world. For those of you who would like to learn more, I would highly recommend you purchase my book. In the book, I'm sharing a lot of information how to start your own business. I'm focusing on livestock enterprise and where to begin in starting your own business and running a company. In the book, I'm sharing a lot of information on how to achieve your first milestone. That would be growing and launching and growing your business from zero to first 10,000 pounds, dollars, euros, and where to begin. In the book, I'm sharing a lot of information for those of you who would like to learn more and get into business world and trying to understand more about business and how to operate the business. You can find this book in the description below, as well as Top Retailers has this book. Attributing all wars to single groups of motive of over it's overall oversimplifying complex dynamics that lead to armed conflicts. It's essential to approach the study of wars and conflicts with a nuisance understanding that takes into account a wider range of factors and motivations why the wars to begin in the first place. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.